All right, guys, welcome back to Fully Human. I'm your host, Taylor Sleaford. And today we're talking New Year's resolutions, New Year's goals. It is January 2nd. So you might be like, why are we talking about goals? It's already the 2nd. It's too late. Oh my God, what am I going to do? It's not too late. It's never too late. And in fact, you are just perfectly right on time. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're not early, you're not late. And that's why I wanted to make this podcast, this video. This is going to be live on my YouTube channel. And it will also be a podcast where you can listen to the audio. I got, if you're watching, this new dope Rode mic, thanks to my wonderful, wonderful parents, for Christmas so that I have more accessibility with podcasting. I really want to grow YouTube. It's a growing platform. It's also what I consume a lot of. I have coined, actually I didn't coin this, that would be a lie. I got it from my best friend, Matt Mahalik. He calls it edutainment, right? So watching YouTube videos where it's entertaining, like vlog style, or I like to watch a lot of podcasts that are entertaining. They're talking about stories, but you're also learning things. And so that's what's been cool about YouTube for me. And so I want to do that. I want to create a platform, some shorter videos, just me talking, sharing. That's also where I tend to thrive in conversation. This is going to be very conversationally based. But today I want to talk about this new year, New Year's resolutions, setting goals, all of that. And something that has really infuriated me lately is seeing people post and say that they don't say resolutions, they set intentions, or they don't set resolutions, but they create goals. And I'm like, what is the difference? We're getting into semantics here. It's a word. And if that bothers you, someone setting resolutions, or you are pushing that away saying, I'm not the person who does resolutions, then you have a story about what that word means. And that's what you're pushing away. And you also have a story about what intention means or goals. And so I invite you to question and challenge and get clear on what is the story and why is the story there. Because call it a resolution, call it an intention, call it a goal, call it whatever you want. Call it a dinosaur. And the thing is, it's how you show up with it, your relationship to it, and why I feel like quote unquote resolutions fail is because people don't have a community to support them. So the people in their life, mentors, teachers, programs, gyms, whatever it is to help them grow, and they don't have a clear plan. They don't have some structure. They don't have tools to set them up for success. So that's the first thing as we talk about this. Whatever word I use, plug in whatever word makes you feel comfortable. But as we talk about the new year, I've been in conversations with a lot of people recently. I actually just got off a client call where he started off the call and said, "Oh, I'm ready for the new year, I suppose." And we dove into it. And what I thought he meant by that is what he meant, where it's like, yeah, it's a new year. There's some momentum there in creating goals or self-reflection. And also he's been working on goals. He's been creating. He's already stepped into a new season of life. So what I want you to understand is you get to do whatever you want. This is your life. You can create whatever narrative, season. You can set a goal anytime that you want. And the other conversation I got into recently is with my girlfriend, who is very connected to nature and the earth and the seasons and the moon and spirituality, which is so beautiful. And I learned so much from her. And if we take that approach, which is an accurate one, we are nature as human beings. We are nature. We are connected to the earth. The season itself of winter, at least in most of North America, is of slowing down, is of death, is of quietness, of going inward. And yet in our world, this new year, January 1st, is, especially the way it's celebrated, it's loud, it's outgoing, it's external, which can be incongruent for some people in what they're feeling. Their body wants to slow down. And even leading up to that, the month before New Year's, there's the holidays where we tend to get busier and we have more going on and we're finishing the year strong. And we're buying gifts and holidays and family and travel. And again, it can go against nature where we are nature and we're slowing down, right? We have seasons. If you think about plants, leaves fall off and then they bloom in the spring and in the summer. So all I'm here to say is whatever feels true for you, feels congruent, let's lean into that. The biggest thing with this personal growth journey is being true to yourself, is following your own path, which also can be one of the most challenging pieces. So my advice is, if you want to set goals, amazing. If you don't want to set goals, also amazing. But I want to give you a perspective shift, and then at the end, I want to give you tools on how you can set these goals, how you can set yourself up for success, or even if it's future goals, right? So, like I said, it's January 2nd. It's not too late. And also, you could wait a month from now if you want to create new goals or step into a new season. But the first thing that I want you to understand, the reason I love quote unquote New Year's resolutions is there can be a lot of momentum here. There can be a lot of positive energy into shifting in the new direction. I used to love school growing up, and one of the reasons is there was something about completing a school year, 5th grade, and then walking into 6th grade in August the next year, and having that space in summer to shift and reflect and figure out what you wanted to do. And then there was something new, something freeing about the new year, the new school year, who you got to be, what you could let go, and that sort of thing. And even Christmas break, right? It's a couple weeks, and typically like elementary, middle, and high school. And college, it's about a month, and it's like it's a reset, it's a checkpoint. And in college, it's a new semester, right? So all those classes, it's like, cool, you're complete, you're starting new ones. And I really thrive with that. And I think that is the positive that we also often tend to demonize around the new year. We're like, oh, screw resolutions, those are stupid, nobody keeps them, blah, blah, blah. Well, if that's your occurring world, if that's the way that you see the world around you and the story you have, then yeah, that's what's going to happen for you and the people around you. But why not jump on that train of momentum, that positive energy? Use this as a launching pad. And it doesn't have to be this big, massive change, but it's just a good time to reflect. And then also, I understand if you've been working and, leaning into this new season and following this growth path and working towards goals, cool, let's just keep doing that. We don't have to change anything. We don't have to shift just because our society tells us that. So that's the framework there. If we are going to set goals, how do we do that? What's beneficial? So the first thing I believe is you need to reflect. You need to look backwards. So all of my new clients start with a 5 or 10 year rewind. If you're under the age of 30, it's 5 years. If you're over the age of 30, it's 10. Mainly because if you're under the age of 30, you just haven't lived as long. You haven't lived long enough. If you're over 30, you've lived in decades, so you can have a bigger point of reflection. And so what I would invite you to do is do a 1-year reflection. And again, this can be done at any point of the year. So if in May you're ready to shift, shed old skin, let go of an identity, shift into something new, do a 1-year rewind and just work backwards. And the way I would do that is I would start with month by month. So if you're going to do it today or tomorrow, I would look at December, do a brain dump, everything that happened, good, bad, indifferent. Then November, October, what were big pivotal moments? What did you learn? What was your mindset like? Where were you living? Who were you spending time with? What were you thinking about? And then so on. November, October, September, all the way back 1 year. Then after that, I would create some space. I would do it one more time. I would create a second draft. And if you're like most people in my society, the world that I live in, you probably have a lot of photos on your phone, whether you use social media or not. So then I would go and look at your old photos month by month, and things will probably spark. And you'll remember, and you'll be like, holy cow, that was in July? That feels like 2 years ago. So first we start reflecting, because before you can move on to something different, you have to know where you came from and where you were. And that allows us to create intention on what do we want to change? What do we want to shift? What do you want to leave in the past year or season? And what do you want to invite into the new season? So that's where I would get clear first, is reflecting, right? And the second piece is I want to talk about grief, because grief is really important. It's really misunderstood for a lot of us. It was misunderstood for me for a long time, where I thought it was all about death. I thought grief was simply someone died and so you went through a grieving process, or you had a loss and you went through a grieving process. But grief is just shifting and changing and seasons, right? So as you shift from from an old identity into a new one, you're likely going to feel grief. You could feel grief around starting a new season of life, around buying a new car and having an old car, changing apartments, moving, getting out of a relationship, getting into a new relationship. And grieving is just letting go of these old parts of you, letting this part of you die that is no longer serving you or that you've outgrown. And if we don't do that, right, we're stuck in this liminal space. And if you don't actually grieve, and part of that is just honoring the life that you had, the things that you went through. It could be a beautiful relationship. It could be something that you learned. It could be graduating college. And just honoring that, leaving a job, there can be grief. Even if it's to start your own company or you have a really great opportunity. And so it's coming to terms, it's accepting, it's honoring that part of you, that season of your life, so that you create space to step into something new. And often when we don't grieve, the analogy I like is it's like trying to fit into old skin, where it's like putting on a shirt that is just too small and you just can't quite get in there. You can't quite button up those jeans. And in my life, that has felt like not feeling like myself. Like for a long time, I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't know how to describe it. And things just kept butting up against me. Resistance kept coming. I kept feeling challenged because I was refusing to move through that grief, to honor that part of myself, to accept the old identity. I was trying to cling on. I was trying to hold on to these parts of myself. One, because it feels safer. It's what I'm used to, even if it's not what I want, right? But it's what I know. That's where the ego comes in. It's this part of you that you're just like hanging on to. You're just holding on to. So I would say once you reflect and once you get clear on what do you want to let go of, which it's like the chicken or the egg conversation. You can also think about where you want to go, what you want more of, who do you want to become. But in that, there's going to be something to release, something to let go of, an old way of being, an old thought process, people in your life that are holding you back. Maybe it's even clothes that you were wearing that you weren't in alignment, weren't congruent with the person that you want to be. And then it's grieving that, which is a whole process. I could do a whole another video on that. And what I would say is if you want to get through the grieving process, your body is so wise. It's, allowing yourself, be gentle, be kind, and giving yourself time, because it's going to be different for everyone. I can't say it's a week or a month or a year. It's going to take time, but once you start, it's going to continue to evolve and grow as you move through that, of letting go, of coming to terms, of really acceptance. That's what it's about. It's accepting that part of your life. It's completing it. It's honoring it, so that then you can step into the new. And then that's where we get into the goals, the resolutions, the intentions. And so what I would say is then once you get clear on who do you want to become? That's the question. Who do you want to become? Because often resolutions, goals, intentions, where we get caught up is we get focused on things. What are the things that I need to do? But it's not about what you need to do. It's about who do you need to become, the internal shift. So why do New Year's resolutions not land at the gym? I have a big background in fitness, and January is busy, February is busy, and then it starts to dwindle because we get caught up in, I need to go to the gym 5 times a week. I can't eat carbs. I have to do intermittent fasting, right? We get so structured and rigid, and we get caught up in the things we need to do. When really we want to start asking, okay, who do I need to become? I want to be someone who has a good relationship with their body. I want to be someone who trains so that I can do any physical feat. I want to be someone who is healthy and loses the body fat that is not supportive for the system. Then you can start asking, okay, that person, that higher version of myself, what things do they do? How do they show up? And it's like, yeah, they consistently go to the gym. Yeah, they consistently eat well, right? But it's a part of who they are. It's a part of a lifestyle. They're not attached to 4 times a week, 5 times a week at the gym. It's shifting how they show up. And so when we start to get clear on what it is, then we can set ourselves up for success. So are the circles that you're in supporting that? Do any of your friends work out? Do you go to a gym where you work out alone, or are you a part of a group fitness program? Or do you have a coach where there's a community? Are you following the diet everyone told, or are you finding a way, something that fits your lifestyle, right? If it's the Whole30 diet, which is nothing processed, no sugar, essentially you go to the grocery store and anything on the perimeter, right? You can't even have like salad dressing. You have to make your own salad dressing, Whole30. Really, really powerful, really great elimination diet. There's like a 30-day Whole30 diet, or actually it's in the name, Whole30. And it's really challenging if you're on the go, if you travel a lot, if you need to eat out, So it's finding ways that support you and your lifestyle, putting yourself in the room of other people. And so again, this goes back to like, I don't have a problem with resolutions, with calling that, with saying that I set resolutions or goals or intentions. But are we thinking through what do we need to do to get there? What rooms do we need to put ourselves in? Because that for me is the biggest one. And so when you start asking, who do I need to become? You start making decisions today, this year, based on your highest self, right? So I'll give some examples for me. I'm a life coach, I'm a leadership coach, I'm a men's coach. And I want to do retreats one day. I want to do weekends, workshops, week-long retreats. I want to travel the world. I want to have this immersive experience. And up until October of 2023, I had never been to a retreat. I'd never been to anything that was overnight, that it had an extensive period of time. And so I started to think about this, and I'm like, how can I create this? How can I have a retreat if I've never been? So I chose to go to a retreat. I went to my first men's retreat, and it changed my life, and it was so powerful. And the thing was, making that choice, there was a lot of resistance. Do I do that? Do I not? Do I want to go? Like, am I ready? Is it the right time? Whatever. And the reason I said yes is because my higher self, Taylor, in the future, the fullest version of myself, he goes to these things. He goes to these retreats. He gets these kind of coaching. He interacts with these types of people. So I said yes. It was a little uncomfortable. It was challenging. I was nervous about going. It cost a good amount of money. And so I'm not saying that you have to spend all this money or you have to be uncomfortable. I think that's a good place to be, a little bit of nervous and excited. But for me, it was, okay, I'm doing this because of who I want to be, right? Rather than waiting till I'm quote unquote that person and then I go to a retreat. Another example would be in my men's group, the PAC, which is our continuation membership. So I have the initiation, which is the 7-week foundational program. Once you graduate from that, you are invited to join the PAC, which is this community alumni of previous cohorts of my leadership program. And in the PAC, it started off small, right? I've now run 4 cohorts in making this video. I'm about to start my 5th. And I remember telling myself, like, okay, when this grows big enough, I will create an online platform. And the one I am choosing to use is called Circle, where you can add videos, you can add recorded calls, you can create courses. And I was like, yeah, that's the long-term vision. When I get 30, 40, 50 guys, I'll start doing like a shadow course. I'll start doing breathwork courses, like all of this stuff. But I kept telling myself, okay, well, when it gets to this point, and it's likely you've been here, when this happens, then I'll show up this way. And I caught myself, and instead I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do this now because this is what my highest version would do. I don't have as many guys in there. I maybe don't have the extra income, but like I'm gonna do it now, right? It's be, do, have. I'm gonna be that now. I'm gonna do the things my highest self does, and then it'll come to me. The results that I'm looking for, like losing weight at the gym, will come because I become the person that has those results, right? So as you're in this place, as you're sitting with, what do I do in this life, in this year? Do I set goals? Do I not? What are my goals? If you want to scratch that, if you want to start over, I would say get clear on what season are you in? Is this a building season? Is this a new season? Or are you continuing the work that you've been doing already? Reflect on where you've been and what you've done and who you were and what you want to let go of. Allow yourself to grieve, which you may be grieving while you're creating these goals and you're working towards the next thing. And then getting clear on what you want, why you want it, and asking, what do I need to do to become that? What community do I need to be a part of? What program do I need to sign up for? And I know I'm talking about money, but I feel like you need to do that. You need to invest, like pay to play, to put yourself in the room of these higher people. And again, it could look like joining free community workouts, whatever it is, but saying yes to the thing that is a little challenging, but it's gonna help support you and where you're going. So that's my thoughts on 2023 to 2024 goals, resolutions, intentions. Very intentional with when I am releasing this video, making it, and always, if you have any questions, you want to go deeper on any of these topics, This is the stuff that I dive into one-on-one with my clients, my life coaching and my leadership clients. We get really, really granular, and I help support them in the process of figuring out what they want, the tools to get there, and how to become that person, that shift in identity. We also do this work in my men's group. I have the 5th cohort, which is starting January 18th. So you still have some time to join. If you're a man, you want to level up, you want to be a part of this community, or if you have questions about grief, send me a message. But until next time, guys, peace.